Welcome to Skyler Jarvis Media.
The man, the myth, the legend.
What's up, everybody? This is the Skyler Jarvis Show. I'm your host, Skyler, and today I've got a guest, a really special guest, a good friend of mine, Shazan Newkirk.
What's up, everybody? It's me, Zion, or Shazion. Make sure that you guys check out my worldwide international radio show coming up this Tuesday. Just so you guys know.
Definitely check out his worldwide international. Go ahead.
We got a whole bunch of treats for you on that show. Stay tuned. On today's topic on the Skyler Jarvis Show, we will be talking about blind awareness.
Yes.
Since it's Blind Appreciation Month.
Definitely Blind Appreciation Month. So we if you haven't watched the Living the Blind Life episode, I would highly recommend you go listen to that and go spread that one around and spread this one around as well, because this is something that a lot of blind people really need to speak up about, and this is us taking action and saying something, making people aware of the situation. So I want to give a shout out to Diverse Abilities as well. I've been sharing some of your posts, and you do a great job at making people aware of this situation and aware of situations in which sighted people overplay their hand a little bit when, you know, like the whole the grabbing onto you and stuff. Me and Shazan can especially attest to that.
Especially to somebody that is blind in one eye that does have little vision, they're still considered legally blind regardless of that vision. Several sighted people that grab their blind children or grab their children that does have a problem with seeing. Don't do that. Make sure that you ask first before you decide to grab them by the arm or try to jerk them, because sometimes you may not know. They may react to it a certain way.
Exactly. Either that, or, you know, another sighted person might think you're trying to assault somebody.
Yeah.
And you don't want that kind of attention. And then, you know, blind people can't, you know, if they're getting dragged around, they can't really use their canes or do nothing like that. So it makes it a little bit harder for us to get our balance back.
Or they're not, yeah, and they're gonna start to lose that cane usage ability. Now, there has been, over the past 4 years or so, and me and Skyler have been accustomed to this, is the whole correctness. Is the whole cane correctness.
Yes, definitely.
There has been a few teachers that have been trying to do cane correction. Now, some of us go off of what we were taught when we were younger versus them,
what they're trying to teach now.
Yeah, versus what they're trying to teach now.
And another thing, quick shout out to my papa. It's like, for example, Shazan, I have tried to sit, you know, I mean, he's trying to help me get, you know, somewhere, but I'm trying to get him to understand that, you know, if you do that, for one, it hinders our ability to, you know, walk and get somewhere. For second, you know, if an O&M teacher saw him do that, if he was in a blind community, people would get on to him
really quick.
quicker than I would, and probably be even more stern about it than I would.
Yeah.
So, and shout out to Mamaw as well. And by the way, I just want to get this out the way. I don't do a lot of cussing on these episodes. I might say a few here and there, but I try to keep this as family oriented as I can. And if some come out, I apologize, but I try to keep it as family oriented as I can, so that anybody can watch them. So back to what we were talking about the whole grabbing thing. Yes, that is something that should be addressed as well.
Yeah, that needs to be addressed because, for one, we can walk, we can talk, we can hear.
We can do anything.
We got canes for a reason.
Right.
And you do got some of your parents out there, and you know which ones I'm talking about, that don't want that don't want us to use our canes.
Either that, or like I was telling Papa, we know as I know as his grandson that he's just trying to help.
Right.
But other people, other blind people, or other O&M teachers, or even sighted people, they probably wouldn't know what to make of it.
They would look at that a whole lot different.
They would look at it very much differently. So, moving on to blind unemployment. Now,
which is ridiculously high.
I've talked about this. I've talked about my end. Now, I want to give the mic to Shazian and let him explain instances where he has been faced with what's been going on.
Oh, trust me, even my end is bad. Now, I've had it rubbed in my face a few times to prove a point, but it only made things worse. And I'm going to be honest about it. The unemployment rate towards the blind people is ridiculously high.
Very much so.
And it shouldn't be this way. And it's not because we are lazy or anything like that, but I'm going to look at it from a different perspective. Some of us are, now I am going to say, some of us are not capable of working, or we can only work for a certain amount of hours due to SSI or anything like that, any other income. Because if we go over that
which
SSI,
is freaking ridiculous,
they're going to cut it off. And here's the kicker to this SSI is that the SSI stuff is out of date. Rather people know that.
It's ridiculous. I mean, we have to watch how much money we're making from SSI, or they're gonna take half of it away. Most of the time, just our SSI alone, we don't make enough to live on.
Yeah, like
$500-$600 will only last you a certain amount of time.
Yeah, it'll only last you like a month or two, and that's not enough to live off of.
That really won't even last you a month if you think about it.
No.
When you factor in bills and if you're trying to get in an apartment or something like that, or you're moving in a home, it's extremely hard for blind people because
No.
Yeah.
And that's just enough for like groceries.
That's not
Like
even
that.
enough for groceries. That's, like I said, once you factor in your bill, once you factor in your
Well, it depends on how.
water, your power,
Yeah.
plus your groceries, that's,
Oh
most of the
yeah.
time your SSI check is not going to cut it.
No. Mm-mm. That's not going to cut it. And then it's like the jobs that society wants us to work at is either at a blind factory or something like that.
Right.
And that's still not good enough. But it can benefit us, but it's not going to be enough to where we're going to have that income.
It can. And I agree with you. Like what's going to happen if there's no blind factories around for some of these people in these rural areas? What about that?
Yeah.
What about the people that's having to do without and can't get a job, but and can't provide for their families like they want to?
Or either for themselves.
Or, yeah, exactly. I mean, this is things we all have to think about at some point, and I come up with this little slogan. Blind lives matter.
Yep. Blind lives matter. Even just as more as any other life does.
Exactly.
And you do have a lot of your people that will say that other blind people have jobs, which is true. But what about the ones that have applied for them that didn't get accepted or hired for them?
Exactly. And I mean, like, I've got a podcast now. I've got, if I wanted to go play somewhere, I could go play it, at Brushy, at my local bar. But, a lot of blind people, aside from me, they don't have those opportunities open to them.
Yeah, they don't. And I have a radio show that I do each Tuesday. Even though I'm not getting paid for it,
We're really lucky to be doing
it's
stuff like this.
it's something to do.
Exactly. It's something to fill your time because, we spent, what was it? Me and you spent
4 years.
3 years
3-4 years.
not doing a
Not doing
damn
anything.
thing. Not doing a damn thing, man. And, when we talk about some of this stuff, it's coming from us personally. Some of the stuff that we've had to go through. Shazam got rejected by Amazon. Tell them about that, Newkirk.
Yeah, I got terminated. No grounds. Okay, there were no grounds at all. It was a system termination.
Bastards.
But here's the kick. However, here's the kicker. They didn't know where they were going to put me at, and so they said that me and mom had to get in touch with the ADA so that they could set up a case so that way we could get my accommodations and stuff like that. And they put me on a administrative leave.
Huh.
Until I was able enough to get.
They put you on medical leave, didn't they?
I think it was either medical league or something like that. It was one of those leagues.
Medical leave. It means like they put you on leave until about 2 weeks. Am I right?
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, 2 weeks until we could get the accommodations and stuff like that.
So then, whenever you tried to whenever they got the accommodations and you went back, they basically terminated you.
Or whenever I tried to log on to Amazon, ABC or A to Z website, or the Amazon A to Z, which is Amazon's work scheduling application. I tried to log into that, and my account was suspended, and then it was a system termination. Yeah.
Termination.
Yep.
That was bullshit. It
was a pain in the ass.
It was, because okay, Amazon is what, $1 billion company?
Yeah.
So they should have the resources to get the accommodations needed for,
that they would need.
If they use Dell or, other computers, that they have JAWS. They can get JAWS, and then Macs, if they use Macs, they have voiceover built in.
Yeah.
So there's no excuses. There's no excuses for $1 billion company to sit and reject somebody that is blind just because they couldn't reach out to a certain other thing that's supposed to help blind people that, you have to open up a case for. It's all government. It's all the system. It's like they're rigged against us, man.
Yep. And they put us at the lower class.
Exactly.
For what reason?
None whatsoever. And shout out to our good friend Natasha. Shazan hooked me up. We've been friends.
Definitely a shout out to her, by the way.
And I've got a lot of people off that's watched the Living the Blind Life that said they got real inspired by this, and you don't understand how much that means to me. So we really want to continue doing that, and one of the reasons I wanted Shazan and Natasha on this podcast is because they can give perspective of this from different perspective, from where they live compared to where I live. So, Shazan, how many jobs have you had to go through up to this point?
Up to this point, so we applied for LCI in 2020.
Yeah, I remember that. I'm gonna stop you there for a minute. I'm sorry, but to expand on the LCI, what happened was we had just got home from COVID, and I feel like a part of it was that our parents didn't want to let us go.
Yeah.
And they felt like we weren't ready because, they first off they were so used to having us home by that point. And second off, they just didn't want to let us go, I think.
And shout out to Mr. Brian Duffy for actually trying to actually help us.
Yes, shout out to Mr. Duffy.
He would have been a very good fit for us.
He would have.
Especially as a mentor.
Very much so. I agree with Shazan there. Mr. Duffy, shout out, my man.
Shout out to Mr. Duffy because he would have been a great mentor.
If you are watching this podcast, shout out, my man.
Because the reason why I would think that Mr. Duffy would have been a great mentor because he would have showed us some stuff that our parents would not bother showing us, or probably would not even have the discussions with us to teach us about life, because of whatever reason. I don't know, but Duffy would have been a great mentor because he would have showed us on how to actually live in the real world.
Very much so. I agree with you, man. Mr. Duffy, he was a very good social studies teacher when we were at GMS, and he's also, I could see him really, him and Matthew went far. And I feel like if we would have been able to have that, our parents would have let us have that opportunity, I probably wouldn't be sitting here doing this podcast right now.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think it was basically, it was a gift and a curse because, the whole parents not wanting us to do it. I feel like like I said, I wouldn't be right here talking on this podcast probably. I don't know. I might have been doing it in a different way. Who knows? But, I do agree with you. I really think our parents should have just said, hey, we trusted you with the whole going to GMS thing. We're going to trust you with this one. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like, we're going to trust you with Mr. Duffy because, maybe he might be able to show you some stuff that, we probably can't really show you like that.
And, my mama and papa, shout out my mama and papa, they were reasonable about it. They wanted me to go, but they also wanted me to be aware of certain things.
Yeah.
And I could understand that. Yeah, that's mama and papa. You do have to think about a lot of things.
You have to watch your back, though, when it comes to a lot of people in the big cities.
And, it didn't even have to do with the big city. It was just, about furnishing and about different things like that and having a bed and stuff like that.
Yep.
That was what they were more concerned about. But they would always say, hey, Skyler, we really want you to do something like this. So, and then my dad, he just, I don't know, he just felt like I wasn't ready. And then I was like, man, if I'm going to, I always heard about, this opportunity, the song Lose Yourself. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I could think about. And I'm like, damn it, if I have an opportunity like that to get out and do something with my life, then I'm gonna go that. And then that was would put a stop to that, because Mama, I told Mama I was thinking about doing it again, and then, because I tried to stop, I'd stopped a little bit, after the, first time Dad said, he didn't think I was ready. And then I just told Mama, I was like, I really want to do this. And she got mad, and she was like, well, you're not ready, Skyler, you're not ready. And then...
Oh, she did that thing. Oh,
yeah, you remember that. You remember that, don't you?
Yep.
Because she was mad at Dad for something, and then she ran out there and told him, and then I got a message the next day, so that was basically stopped right in its tracks.
Mm-hmm. Parents projecting their insecurities on you because they feel like you can't do anything for yourself.
Yeah, tell me about it, man. So, didn't a similar circumstance happen to you in that case?
Yep.
So
Yep.
tell us a little bit about that.
My mom gotten involved and she didn't want me working.
Wow, man.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
like
She wanted me to work somewhere closer to home.
I could understand that, and you know, I understand why parents would want something like that. But as far as that concerned, you know, there's not many jobs that will accept blind people
There's
around
not,
here.
especially when you're living in small towns.
Especially, I mean,
Because if you're living in small towns, jobs are shitty.
very
Pardon
much
the
so.
language,
You're just a number.
but I'm gonna be honest. Jobs within small towns are very, very,
Very
shitty.
shitty. Very shitty. And another thing is, you know, the DSB. I don't know about Shazan, or you know, if he can relate, but having to contact the DSB, and then as far as getting a job somewhere else, you know, besides obviously LCI or any other blind, places that blind people work at,
And
it's like a black hole every time. It's a black void.
yep, they expect for you to work at places like IFB, LCI, BISM, stuff like that, where you're making $10 to $13 an hour.
I mean, that's not even the down part as far as I'm concerned. It's, you know, nobody wants to hire you if, you know, that they're always thinking about what the liability can be. Like, what if you get hurt?
Yeah.
What if this happens? What if that happens? Like, look, you're risking that with a sighted person.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse there.
There's no, like, you're not risking a liability a sighted person. You're only doing it to
No, you risk a liability. You know, what if a sighted person gets hurt on sight? Are you going to do something about that?
Yeah, because they can hire deaf people just fine.
Well, yeah. I mean, even in some cases with deaf people, you know, a lot of people think that deaf, you know, when you hear the term deaf and dumb, or, you know, somebody, you know, like a deaf mute, you hear somebody, you know, deaf and dumb, and like in some cases, like Helen Keller, deaf, dumb, and blind. You know, they think when somebody calls something, you know, somebody like that dumb, that's, you know, they're actually dumb, but they're not.
No, they just have a hearing impairment.
They have a hearing impairment, or, you know, in our cases, we have a visual impairment. But that makes us no different than the next human being.
Then society.
Society has just got this grip.
This stereotypical mindset.
Very much so. Very much so.
This macho. This macho. How should I say it? This macho patriarchy type of attitude to him. Like, oh, I'm better than you. Oh, I'm better than you at this thing. Oh, I'm better than you at this thing. Oh, you're this. You're that. You know, that can only go but for so far.
Right. I mean, I tell a lot of people that, you know, do research. Go find people that are visually impaired in your area, and they will tell you the exact same thing. You know, if you're watching from Miami, tell people in Miami, you know, look for blind people in that general area. You know, and they will tell you, most of them will tell you that this situation persists nationwide.
Yeah. It's not just within a certain group of people. Now, you do have your 1% of blind people that are actually lucky or able enough to get, opportunity.
Right. There are some, shout out Dylan McCleary. I think he might be getting a job. So there are people that get lucky, and some of the people that do get jobs, they only get like 1 day a week. Either that or they'll call you when they need you. It'll become, I've seen instances where 1 day a week becomes, we'll call you when we need you.
Yeah. Nah, I'm good. You ain't gonna be doing that with me. I'd rather do 5 days a week.
Exactly. That's what I've always said. If you're gonna hire me for 1 day a week, you're gonna hire me for 5 days a week. Just like
no, let me do the full 40 weeks.
Exactly. 40 hours.
Forget about my whole SSI check. Forget about that. That I don't care about. Cause real truth of the matter is, and I don't know if a lot of you blind people go through this. I'm pretty sure some of you do. Some of y'all, I don't know if y'all get told this. If some of y'all are not even allowed to actually touch your SSI money.
I tell you what we ought to do is take all that SSI money and put it in a separate account every time it comes in. But then if you do that, they'll know that you have a certain amount in the bank and they'll take it out.
Yep.
It's the government's way of keeping us on a lower level. And I've got some words for that. That is horse shit.
Because it is.
Very much so. And any businesses that are in Taylorsville, any businesses that are in Shazan's general area that hear this, you need to know this as well. Think about what you are saying to people who are trying to apply for your job. McDonald's, Salvation Army, Amazon, especially Amazon. You have no excuse. You're a $1 billion company, and you have the resources. If you are willing to do something, I know you have resources to where you can help us out. What do you have to say, Shazan?
Yep. And especially, some of the fast food places, and I know a lot of people have a lot of bias when it comes to blind people working at fast food places.
Very much so. Very much so. Very much so. And one thing, I can understand certain jobs like questioning, hey, are you really going to be able to do this job? And they don't mean it in like we're just trying to cover our ass. They're like, no, we really care about, the safety of you and other people. So do you really think you're going to be able to do this job? I can understand that.
Yeah.
But if we put an application in and we don't hear from you for weeks and weeks and weeks, and we have to personally call up there, then
up there just to make a follow up, and then come to find out that somebody else got the job and not us.
I'm gonna call Mitchell Gold on that. I mean, they interviewed me very well. Mitchell Gold did, but when it came to actually getting the job, I kept asking because my mama was working there at the time, and I said, hey, mama, ask them what the progress is on me getting a job, and I kept getting no response. They wouldn't say, and then they said they were worried about the liabilities, and I told mama, I said they can take their liabilities and stick them up their ass. I said, I'm sorry, but that's honestly how I felt, because not only did they say that to my mama, they turned right around and gave my brother the job.
Oh, trust me, I ran into that at Goodwill, and I've even called, and I've asked, and I said, hey, what was the progress for my interview and shit like that, or for my application? And they were like, well, somebody else gotten the job, and I'm like, fuck it, eh?
Like, you gotta be kidding me, man.
Yeah.
I ran into that at Salvation Army, dude, when it, like, there was a woman, I forget what her name was, but she was I'd known her from S&S. I think she used to work at S&S.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think maybe she still does. I don't know. But anyway, she was working there. This was around the COVID times, and I went in. I told her I wanted a job, and we got an application. And her boss apparently wasn't there whenever we came in. And then I think it was a week or 2 weeks later, we called back up there because I hadn't heard nothing back from them. And we had turned the application in the next day.
Yep.
So, after we got the application, we turned it in that next day. So we wait about a week. That Friday, I'm like, I haven't heard anything from Salvation Army. I'm going to call back up there. And I did, and the next thing you know, she goes downstairs, and apparently her boss isn't there, but apparently her boss said that she thought that job was too dangerous for me. I said, I was shocked. What's up?
I said, terrible excuse.
A very terrible excuse. How is stocking shelves too dangerous? Answer me that question.
It's dangerous because you know how many blind people that actually do that as a job? A bunch.
There's a bunch, and a lot of people, when they see a blind person, they see this stereotype of us not wanting to do work because we're blind, or this and that because we're blind, and I'm like, that is just a stereotype.
Right.
You don't go by the stereotypes. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, but you don't know somebody else's situation.
Exactly. And I mean, a lot of these blind people actually want to get out and make something of themselves, but they're stuck at home with their parents because they've got nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
And that's our main message in this podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
And, I'm not saying it's 100% the blind person's fault, because it's not. Some of it is the parents too.
Right. Very much so.
And I really hate to put it that way, but it's the truth. Like some of you parents, some of you, not all, but a good percentage of you love to talk down to your blind kids, expecting for them to, figure shit out on their own. But if you don't teach them, how are they going to know?
Exactly. And then,
Because you're supposed to learn from your parents, not get shitted on.
very much so. And that goes for sighted people as well. Like, you don't do that in general.
Yeah, because all that's going to do is just bring your self-esteem down. That's all it's going to do.
So, before we wrap things up, Shazan, is there anything you really want to say to this audience?
All I want to say is thank you for having me on the show, and definitely hope that you guys continue to celebrate the Appreciation Blindness Awareness Month. I definitely hope that you guys celebrate that. Also, coming up, the NC State Fair will be opening up really, really soon, by the way. I don't know when the dates are, but all that I know is that it will be opening up really, really soon. Definitely stick around for that. I will be announcing that on my worldwide international show. And yeah, peace out. Thanks for having me.
By the way, Shazan and his worldwide international show it's a very good radio show. I think you should check it out. And he's got such a good collection of different genres, different vibes, and he meshes them all together so good. And I really think you should check him out. Also, check out my boy Kingdom of God Broadcasting, Chasing Crib. Shout out. Keep doing those GMS episodes, by the way. I really love seeing those, man. And also, check out my boy Matthew Bazemore. He does my intros. The link is in the description to his channel. And he's got some songs on there. Go check out my boy Shazan Newkirk's channel.
I also have some music as well, and stay tuned because I will be demoing the brand new song with me and my brother and his friend. Once I can get the vocals to sit right, I had to re-record this song about almost two or three times, but hey, it's worth it. Usually I'll leave it as is most of the time, but I actually went in for an actual challenge. Why don't I try to re-record it 2 to 3 times to see what will actually fit with the voice or with the vocals? What will actually fit? So while we're working on that, I want you guys to stay tuned because I will be premiering it on my show at some point.
Very much so. And yeah, definitely go check out Shazan's YouTube and share this with any of your friends. Spread the word about this situation and put no. Remember, blind lives matter. So, thank you so much, Shazan, for being on the podcast with me today.
Thanks for having me, man.
No problem, man. It's whatever it takes to get the word out there. And you're one of my best friends. We've known each other for 10 years.
10 years, bro.
Going on 11, man. I can't believe it.
Decade, bro.
Man,
I cannot believe it, bro.
before we go, tell the audience how we met.
Okay, so a little quick story before I get off of here. Me and Skyler, we met whenever he was in short term. And we weren't really interacting with each other just yet. Like, we just started out talking. We've had our fair share of back and forths with frequent fighting. We've had our fair share. But me and Skylar had found our connection through music. That's what made me and Skylar connect the most. Was
We loved
simply
some good music. Very much so.
We loved whatever it was that we can get an ear for. Like, we loved it. Like, if you know me and Skylar quite well, and for those of you that actually know me and Skylar have always been tight. Like, our love for music has made our friendship stronger. Like, we share albums with each other. We talk about albums. We talk about what sounds good.
We would always, when we were in school together, we would put each other's music on our flash drives.
Flash drives, CDs, whatever we could find.
We would do it. We would do it. So, without further ado, this is Skyler Jarvis.
This is Shazion Newkirk.
Signing off.
Peace!
Ladies and gentlemen,
Peace out.
Skyler has left the building. Hey, bro, don't you want to say anything?